Islam, everybody. Uh, love and praise to all the survivors of all the calamities that's been happening. We're in the October, so this is the second to last month of Jason. For those people who are not in the know or aware what that means, Jason months represent the highest months of satanic and Luciferian Freemasonic orchestrated rituals in what they refer to as the theater of war, which is the battleground that the U.S. was put into under the Clinton administration in 1991. So, Jason means July, August, September, October, November. Um, this Jason, we lost a lot. They took out a lot of people. Let's talk about Dick Gregory real quick. A lot of people don't know. Hugh Hefner was the one that gave Dick Gregory his first job. Hugh Hefner was a paid CIA operative who was paid to bring people into honeypots. A honeypot is when they bring somebody and compromise them sexually to get them to do what they want. A lot of people think that sexuality or the sexual uh, uh, situations he was caught into was always heterosexual. They weren't. They were homosexual a lot of times, more times than not. They were also into pedophilia. A lot of people don't know that right before Hugh Hefner was found dead, which they now citing as a homicide, he was indicted under sealed indictment connected to the whole Pizzagate thing with John Podesta and Hillary Clinton and the rest of them people who were molesting and eating children. So he was definitely down with that. The Black Lives Matter movement in some areas is down with that. One of the leaders of the movement is a black man who is fronting. The Black Lives Matter thing is really just a homosexual agenda to get more people and to try to synthesize the so-called black liberation consciousness with the open acceptance of homosexuality, which then will accept transgenderism, which is really just transgenderism is actually a form of what they call gender dysphasia, which is basically a genetic disease. And what that says is that people are trying to make themselves into something that genetically they can never be. So in that now, that allows the United States to continue the custodianship over the masses in the United States who subscribe to things like inferior positions such as transgender, black, Negro, colored, Indian, Ethiopian, Puerto Rican. Another thing that happened with Puerto Rico, nobody talking about, is that the backdoor access, which was the money laundering house that the United States had been using in Puerto Rico since they set up the Jesuit trusts and stuff over there. All of that was shut down maybe 2 months before this alleged hurricane. What was it, Irma? I don't even know. There was so many of them. And so what that means is all of the records, all of that stuff is gone. You understand? So the thing with this also shows is they were putting out reports that as much as Trump and them wasn't doing nothing, they were saying that the current president or the current mayor of San Juan or whatever, she actually was using Trump as a means to hold the food back, to blame it on him so that way she could secure a whole nother election. Now, I don't know. I'm not on the ground out there. I'm just reporting what is in the chatter. You know what I'm saying? So all of this is to say that this is culminating into the open friendly secret society of the Vatican is now allowing the United States to divest properly out of the United States fiat currency. So we already know that the United States was downgraded through the Standard & Poor credit rating to a score 2. It's now being brought down to a score 3. No nation that has a score 2 or 3 is ever bumped back up to a 1. So what we're seeing now is a total decline in the fire sale and the dismemberment of the United States as we understand it, which is great for us who actually have a government or a nationality and actually are not dependent upon any inferior things like the Indian thing. Everybody right now in the Moorish community, everybody's Moors, but now everybody trying to get some of that Indian money, right? They now trying to say that they Indians and all of that. Now, I'm not saying that we can't be, you can't check American Indian as one of the ethnicities that you encompass as a Moorish American, but to identify yourself solely as an Indian under the premise of the United States is putting you in an inferior $5 Indian stance. Who are the $5 Indians? These are the original so-called American Indians or Moors who existed in North Central and South America, who at the time of the forced ascension of the occupational government that we erroneously call the corporate government, the occupying government, these are the so-called Moors or blacks who were traders, right? When they say that the Moors were traders, whatever, these are the ones they talk about. The ones they talk about was the traders, wasn't the ones that sold them into slavery, because we owned all the slaves. We owned all the Slavs, right? So that's truth and fact. But what really happened, or the ones that traded us out, what we today call the boule today, what we today call the so-called talented 10th, what we today call all of those blacks that go to Jack and Jill and all of these other secret black boule bleaching out clubs that want to get you to be black on the outside but be a total crack on the inside. These type of people are the ones that sold your birthright and sold their birthright to the white occupationalists for $5 on the backside of whether it was Fort Bragg, whether it was Fort Benning, whether it was Fort Detrick, whether it was Fort Negro, right? They had all of these different forts where they would make these deals at, and then they agreed to take the inferior colored position or Negro position, so that way the white boys can go in and get the land patents for them to be able to stay here to do what they need to do. So when you want to look at the traders and you want to look at these type of people, these are the people today coming out against Kaepernick and the rest of these people. Which reminds me, the reason why Donald Trump and them got such a hard on for the NFL is because he tried to start the XFL back in the days. And when they tried to shut him down with that, he took them to court, and they wound up having to pay him, what, $2.1 million in damages or whatever, trying to slander him, right? And in the process of that, he waged a vendetta against them. Now, this also is piggybacked on the fact that he's under a sealed indictment, right? Excuse me, a sealed impeachment. They're really trying to move forward with this thing. Why? Because he was basically put in a honeypot by Putin. Putin and them put him in a honeypot back in the days, meaning compromised him sexually through a similar situation like Hugh Hefner, right? And they might have been down with him. They might have used one of his hoes to do it, because he stayed dealing with them Eastern European hoes, like Melania Trump and all of that. As much as people want to say Michelle Obama or whatever's a man or this or that, you ain't never going to see her snatch out.
Right.
You ain't never going to see her totally naked. Do you people know that this dude, Hefner, put pictures up of Brooke Shields naked in Playboy when she was 10? When she was 10 years old, and they let him do that. So right now, it was about to all come out about that, and all of these things are connected, whether we understand it or not. The problem is, you have some Moors now who are trying to go into being Indians to get some of that Cherokee money, right? Which they already got as Moorish Americans if they understood how to establish their own self through their divine birthright, inheritance, and government. And then you got the other so-called blacks that's now following behind this Black Lives Matter thing, which is really, they think is another version of a RBG thing, which was really a corrupted version of the Black Panther thing, which was really just a corrupted version of the Deacons of Defense. But unlike all those other organizations, this is the one that's directly under the jurisdiction in terms of the coffers, meaning it's paid for by the clandestine services and agencies. So we as Moors or Moorish Americans of the Asiatic race are in a position now to establish ourselves properly, because everything is collapsing around us, Islam. Everything is collapsing around us. So they are starting these weather wars, everybody telling them that HARP is doing this and HARP is doing that, when really all they doing is turning it on after the initial joint is coming back, because what's happening is Earth is going at these people. Because you niggas won't stand up and do what you need to do. Just like the black woman, the Earth got to get up and shake these Negroes off to wake you up to understand. How you going to have a hurricane and an earthquake and a fire and a flood at the same time? Not just in America. This is all over the world. Like I said, so in that, we, again, that have been steadfast in working together and doing what we need to do, are now starting to see what Elijah Muhammad, Robert Poole Bay, right? General Monkman said in his book, Fall of America. And now you have all of these people claiming to be this or claiming to be that, but what's really happening is they are now starting to realize that a lot of the deals and the clandestine agreements that they made is actually the thing that's going to keep them from falling or going into the kingdom of heaven, meaning the kingdom of the Most High that exists within the truest self, or the truest temple, which is arm, leg, arm, head. So, I think that's it right now, as much as I could think about. Blessings to all. The shooting that just went down. So yeah, they did the false flag shooting where they blamed it on the drunk white man and his little Cambodian or fake Korean girlfriend, and in the end, people know that it was multiple shots. If that even happened, if those people were even killed. So I'm not trying to disrespect anybody that may have been killed. If the thing was real, but honestly, unless I was there to see or hear the shots myself, when I'm on the TV and I'm looking back on everything and I'm seeing one shot here and one shot here, people running this way, people running that way, that says to me that there was multiple shooters. But again, just like the narrative, there can only be one. And there's no coincidence that they did this mass shooting on the same day that OJ get out. So if you don't think that there's a ritual and they not trying to pull out all the stops before you Negroes really understand what it is, it's on you. I already know what my nationality is. I don't argue foregone conclusions. We're stepping further into our own theocratic aristocracy, which is a 2-clan moiety, which is of a 7-clan theocratic aristocracy, as well as an isonomy. That may sound like French to people, but in the end, those with the real eyes to know and understand know what that means. What I'm really saying is that if you do not have a government to go into when this one fall, you go into the FEMA camp or worse. So you better get it together, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to convince nobody that now. All I see on TV at one time, it was all these different aspects of so-called black liberation consciousness trying to get everybody to vie for who they want. Well, the conscious community decided it's the Moors. Whether you want to accept it or not, whether you want to diss them or not, whether you want to just still be anything else other than the Moor so whatever. All I see is people trying to say whether we're Moors or are we Moors or this Moors or that Moors. They said, I checked the Google stats. They said the word Moor has been Googled more within the past 5 years than it has been since the internet came up. And I am so glad that Allah made me part of that resurgence. So again, man, I am a reflection of you. You're a reflection of me. We had a great time here. Thank you to the Grand Sheik and the Grand Sheikas. We were out here. Y'all that didn't come through to the More album, Return of the Guardian joint, y'all missed it. The almighty, the great Said G from Ultramagnetic MCs, one of my personal heroes, came through to represent, show love to the God. Brother Dolo, again, Dolo, King of the Moors, the Great Navy. Thank you for, again, always holding it down, putting the truth out there, and representing for the Moors. All of y'all Moors that said that y'all was going to come and didn't come, it's on you, man. It's on you. Because what I see is Moors will come out when there's somebody that they feel is going to give them certain fluff. But when you come in straight hard and you standing on the Imperial Square and you have an actual government that you function through and is actually respected, like we not playing, people be asking me, we not playing, you got to do what you got to do. I can't speak for nobody, and I'm not trying to convince. I'm not recruiting people. I'm not doing none of that. But if you want to holler at me about how to do something real, hit me up at houseofbell@hotmail.com. Look out for the More album by Brother Kill Ripkin. Excellent project, excellent. Look out for the video he's about to put out, Muslim Talk. Look out for that. That's a banger. Again, you want to holler at me, hit me up at houseofbell@hotmail.com. Look out for the false flag things we were talking about. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else? We got it. So again, love and light. Love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality. Peace to all the humans.
Medulla oblongata rap.
Medulla oblongata rap. That's the God. Yeah, we went in. I just gave it a plug, man. Give him the plug, Sheik. Give him the plug, Sheik. That's what we doing.
Medulla oblongata rap,
That's
man.
right.
Thanks for the family to come out, man.
That's right.
My brother, the Sultan, the whole empire.
Islam.
Big up to everybody. We had a great show.
That's right.
For those that missed it,
I told them.
the redemption show is coming.
That's light.
You know what it is, man.
You know what it is. Love to the Prophet, love to Allah, love to the children and babies. We here for the generations and the ones that have not come.
Yo,
Islam.
big up to the King of the Moors, man. Dolo for coming
Islam.
through. Big up for the mighty Said G, Ultramagnetic for coming through, man.
Islam, with no ego tripping.
With nothing but love, bro.
Nothing but love.
More, much more to come. Y'all know what it is, man. You dirty Moors.
Dirty Moors, you out of here. Islam.